Hey all, welcome back to Clues by Sam. It is Saturday and we have a hard one today, and I can already see the first clue. But if you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it is a daily logic puzzle game where you have 20 people and some of them may be criminals, the other ones may be innocents, and you gotta use the clues that they themselves give you to figure out who is what without doing any guessing. If you want to check the game before watching the video, you can click the link in the description, but I'm gonna start right away. We start with Emma. Emma tells us that there are more criminals than innocents between Frank and Vicky. Where's Frank? Oh, right beside her. And Vicky. There are more criminals than innocents between Frank and Vicky. And what do we know? We know that there are two people between Frank and Vicky, Kyle and Paula. So, if there are more criminals, there can be only criminals, because if even one of them, since there's only two people, if even one of them is an innocent, then there will be the same number of innocents or more if both of them are innocents. So both of them have to be criminals, and we know that Kyle and Paula are criminal, and I guess we don't need Emma's clue anymore. Now Kyle tells us that an odd number of innocents in row 2 neighbor Lisa. Well, in row 2, there's 3 people neighboring Lisa. So either all 3 of them are innocent or one of them. So we don't know that yet. But Paula tells us that all innocents in row 2 are connected. So we know that at least Frank is an innocent, because he has to be connected to Emma, who is also an innocent and is also in row 2. So if there's one innocent only in row 2, there has to be Frank. If there's 3, all of them are innocents. Let's go with Frank then. Now Frank tells us that only one of the 2 innocents neighboring Daniel is Hank's neighbors. So we know that Daniel, who has 3 neighbors total, has 2 innocent neighbors, and one of them is Hank's neighbor. Well, Hank is a neighbor of Daniel's, and he shares Daniel's other neighbors with him. That phrasing was horrible, but I guess you could say that all of the other neighbors that Daniel has are also Frank's neighbors. So that tells us that Hank is an innocent himself because he neighbors Daniel. And of the other neighbors that they share, only one of them is an innocent. So Hank is an innocent, and we have a one or the other situation here. But that also tells us that Gary is or innocent, because remember Lisa having an odd number of innocents in row 2 neighboring her? Well, Gary has to be an innocent then, and Carol a criminal. Nice, we don't need Paula's clue anymore, or Kyle's for that matter. And I guess we don't need Frank's either. Now Gary tells us that, or let's go in order of finding out who was first. Now Hank is telling us that all innocents in row 5 are connected. Okay, that doesn't tell us who is an innocent in row 5. Carol tells us that Hank and Isaac have an equal number of innocent neighbors. Hank, who is here, and Isaac, who is here. Isaac so far has 2 innocent neighbors and may have one more. Maybe Nicole. Hank so far only has 1. So we don't know yet. Now Gary tells us that only one of the 12 innocents on the edges is in column C. Okay, so we know that there are 12 innocents on the edges. And in column C, there's 2 people on the edges, of course, and one of them is Carol, who is not an innocent, so the other person that's on the edge, and that is in column C, has to be an innocent. So we know that Wally is an innocent. And since all innocents in row 5 are connected, if there are any more innocents in row 5, they have to be connected to Wally. So We're gonna leave Gary's clue here because it tells us that there are 12 innocents on the edges. So far, we only know about 3 of them. So let's go back to Carol telling us that Hank and Isaac have an equal number of innocent neighbors. If what does that tell us? Because each of them have 3 neighbors that are not assigned yet. So I guess they have to be in the same number of innocents. We're talking about Isaac, and I'm thinking about Nicole. So that's wrong. We know that Hank has to have at least one more innocent neighbor, because Isaac has 2 innocent neighbors. And why do I have Nicole? Oh, because I still don't know if she's an innocent or a criminal. Should I know about something else that I don't? And not number of innocents in row 2, okay. Oh, innocents in row 2, okay. More criminals than... There are more criminals than innocents in between Frank and Vicky. Yeah. Only one of the 2 neighboring... Danny was Hank's neighbor. Okay. 12 innocents on the edges. Are there... How many edges are there? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 edges. And 3 of those are already innocents. So we have only one more criminal on the edges. And what does that tell us? That tells us something. That if Isaac has a criminal neighbor here, Nicole will have to be the only single criminal neighbor besides Carol on the edge. But that breaks Hank's innocent neighbors. Because now Hank has to have 3 criminal neighbors. Since both Hank and Isaac have the same number of neighbors total, and they have the same number of innocent neighbors, Hank has to have only 2 innocent neighbors if Nicole is a criminal. And how could that make so that Hank has no criminal neighbors on the edges? That can't happen. Because either these 2 would have to be criminals or these 2. And in any way, there will be one more criminal on the edge. So we know that Nicole is an innocent. And now we know that Hank has 3 innocent neighbors. But we still don't know if the other 2 that were missing are Daniel and Megan, because Lisa could be an innocent as well. So let's go for Nicole's clue. It isn't a clue, it's flavor text. So what else do I need to know? Oh, I know that Isaac... Oh, I don't know about Isaac, actually. Isaac may be a criminal. Well, Hank tells us that all innocents in row 5 are connected. So at least Vicky is an innocent. Because if there is to be a criminal in row 5, it couldn't be Vicky because she would break up Thor and Wally as innocents. But it could be Zach because the other 3 innocents would be connected, and it could be Thor because the other 3 innocents would be connected. So Vicky is for sure an innocent. Now I guess we don't need Hank's clue anymore. But Vicky tells us that exactly 2 of the 5 innocents neighboring Rose are coders. Rose has 8 neighbors total. 5 of them are innocents. 2 of them we already found out. But we also know that one of them is already a coder and the other one has to be an innocent as well. I guess we don't need Carol's clue either. Now Sue tells us that Betty and her have an equal number of innocent neighbors. Ooh, Betty has 1 criminal neighbor already. Austin may be a criminal. And Rose has to have 1 more criminal. Rose shares 4 neighbors with Sue. So what does that tell us? First of all, it tells us that Sue has to have 3 innocent neighbors, right? So there are 2 more to be found. Maybe Megan, Zach, or Zach and Lisa, or Megan and Lisa. Why am I not counting Rose? Should be counting Rose. Let's put Vicky's and Sue's clothes together. 5 innocents neighbor Rose. Sue has to have, so far, at least 3 innocent neighbors. Let's say those are Zach and Megan. Then Lisa would have to be a criminal. Because Rose needs to have 5 innocent neighbors only. And if Lisa in this situation were to be an innocent, that would break that. But what about Austin and Rose? They could be innocents and they could be criminals. If Austin were to be a criminal, then we have our last criminal on the edges, and both Megan and Zach would have to be innocents. If Austin were to be innocent, Rose would be innocent so that Sue has 4 innocent neighbors. 1, 2, 3, 4. But if Austin were to be criminal, Rose would have to be criminal. I guess the only thing that we know is that both Megan and Zach have to be innocent. Independently of what Austin is. Right? Because if any of them were to be criminal, we have our last criminal on the edges. But now Sue, and in this situation, Austin would have to be innocent because we can't have any more innocents on the edges, criminals on the edges, sorry. But now Sue has 1, 2, 3, and she has to have 4 innocent neighbors, and Rose could be an innocent. There will be no issue with that. And Rose has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 innocent neighbors. So we actually don't know. But what we do know is that someone here could be a criminal. Do we know that one of them has to be a criminal? Could all of them be innocent? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They could. So I don't know. What? 2 of the 5 innocents neighboring Rose are coders. And Rose has 5 innocent. We could have this. This is possible. That's 4. That's 4. We can't have all of them be innocents. That just can't be. Because this breaks Rose's total of innocence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even though it doesn't break Sue's total. So Rose has to be an innocent. If Rose is ever a criminal, that can happen if Lysa is a criminal as well. Because now Austin would have to be a criminal. So that Sue's total is correct. But it doesn't need to be Lysa. Well, it needs to be Lysa if Austin is a criminal. If Austin is an innocent, it has to be Rose. So what am I missing? That both Megan and Zach are always innocent? Which is not true, because if Lysa is an innocent and Megan a criminal, Sue's total still matches Betty, as Austin is innocent. Have I miscounted something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's only 2 criminals on the edges. And those clues that we have, they don't tell us anything about the other people on the edges. Thor, Isaac, Betty, and Daniel. An equal number of innocent neighbors. Exactly 2 of the 5 innocent neighboring rows are coders. One, two, 3, 4, 5. Should I know about Betty's total? Should I know about someone else's total? I'm gonna go back again through all of the clues. Hank and Isaac have an equal number of innocent neighbors. Oh. Could this be? Could this be? It could. If Daniel... Oh my god, I'm gonna have to add one more clue to the mix. Okay. Let's do this. So Hank has to have 3 innocent neighbors. But this isn't a possible scenario, because now we have 2 more criminals on the edges. So if this was the case, that would break. But Megan could be the criminal, because now Hank has 3 innocent neighbors, which is what he must have. Sue has 4 innocent neighbors. Rose has 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess we know that Zach's an innocent. I guess we know that Zach's an innocent. Because if we consider... If Megan is a criminal, then Austin can't be. So Sue has to have 4 innocents. But if Megan is an innocent and Lysa a criminal, Hank still has 3 innocent neighbors. Okay. Sue has 4. And if Austin is a criminal, then Sue's neighbor who is a criminal has to be Rose. And if, yeah, either of these people are criminals, then Austin can never be a criminal. So what we know is that Austin is an innocent, not Zach. Or maybe we do know about Zach because someone here has to be a criminal. Because if both of these are innocents, then Daniel would have to be criminal. And now Rose has to be a criminal. Yeah, the thing is that both Zach and Austin are always innocent. Oh, I got that wrong. Why Austin is wrong though? We'll find out soon enough. Oh. Zaxtonius. Okay, let's go again for another round. We know that Thor... Let's think about this again. Now Sue has 2 innocent neighbors already and has to have 1 more at least. It may be Rose, we don't know, but Rose can only have 1 more criminal neighbor. Can only have 1 more innocent neighbor actually, which is what is limiting us. So either Liza or Megan would have to be a criminal, and that makes Daniel an innocent, because Hank has 3 innocent neighbors. And now Sue has 4 innocent neighbors. 1, 2, 3, plus someone here, that's 4. So that makes Austin an innocent. Other than that, so these 3 are innocents in this situation. Now if Rose is a criminal, Rose can still have 1 more innocent neighbor only. So in any way, shape, or form, these guys are gonna be one or the other. So we know that Daniel is an innocent for sure. To complete Hank's total. So Daniel gives us a clue. There's an odd number of innocents neighboring Gary. Okay, Gary has 3 innocent neighbors so far. He's gonna have 1 more here, Liza or Megan, so that's gonna be 4. To be an odd number, it has to be 5 then, so Betty is an innocent. Betty tells us there's an odd number of criminals neighboring Sue, so now we know that Sue only has 3 neighbors and Rose is a criminal. Criminal! Criminals, not innocents. There's an odd number of criminals neighboring Sue. Why? I'm gonna watch this back and I'm gonna try to understand what goes on in my mind when I get the term switched. There's an odd number of criminals neighboring Sue, so there's 1 here. Rose couldn't be another criminal because that would make us have 2 criminal neighbors for Sue, and that's not an odd number, so Rose is an innocent. And Sue has 4 innocent neighbors, so we know that Austin has to be an innocent as well, because Sue and Betty have the same number of innocent neighbors. I was right about Austin before. You should have let me put him as an innocent. Ugh. Nah. Yeah. Nah. Austin tells us that Emma has more innocent neighbors than Hank. Who's Emma? Oh, Emma's here. And she has 3 innocent neighbors so far. Hank has 3 total, so Isaac has to be an innocent because he neighbors Emma, and he's the last one who could be anything. So Isaac is our last innocent for Emma. Don't need Austin clue anymore. Isaac tells us that all innocents in column C are connected, so we know that Lisa is an innocent. Megan is our last criminal on the edges, and Thor is an innocent as well. Meh. Meh. I did have one mistake there, but I still think that when I put Austin as an innocent, I should have gotten that right. But yeah, it was a nice one anyways. Fun. I love when I have to think about it. I like the hard ones. I'm thinking about getting the puzzle pack and doing those. Maybe we'll do that live if you guys are interested. Maybe not, because I don't want some backseat gaming, but I am interested in doing the puzzle pack. But anyway, this is gonna be it for today. If you enjoyed it, like the video. I'm gonna be here again tomorrow with more clues by Sam. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see that. I hope you liked it. If you played the game, let me know your results. I would love to know that you played as well, what you thought of it, and yeah, I will see you tomorrow.